Hello everybody, and welcome to another video of me drawing rubbish, talking a load of shite. So the topic I wanted to get on today, which can cover fucking anything really, is basically free will. It's one of those long old classic philosophical questions. Do we have free will? It's something that I like to think about a lot. I like to think about these kind of philosophies. The questions that, if answered, would they give us answers to the meaning of life, or where we came from, or what the point in it all is. So basically, the way I see it, or the point I'm going to get across, because I don't know exactly what side I'm on, because I don't believe I know enough to say, oh yeah, I believe in this or I believe in that. But the point I'm going to get across is we are made up of chemicals and atoms and neutrons and all that sort of science jizz that I'm not smart enough to know the terms of. And every part of our body behaves in a very predictable way. The chemicals that enter our brain are what cause us to feel and think things and make decisions. And we can't control these chemicals. It's the same way we can't control our pancreas or the way our heart works or anything like that. We can't control the direction of our blood. It's something that goes on in the background while we sit and listen to idiots like me on YouTube talk rubbish. So basically, I'm gonna So how did I start drawing? So let's take my example of drawing. The earliest or the oldest memory I can remember of me drawing was a drawing of Top Cat I did when I was a kid. Obviously, every kid draws, but this is a specific moment, I feel, because I still remember it, in my life that took me on a path somewhere. Obviously, I didn't know where I was going with it at the time, and I still don't know where I'm going now. But anyway, I drew a picture of Top Cat, and everyone thought it was fake. Everyone thought that I traced it, but I didn't. And everyone thought I was cheating. They were like, oh, he traced it. And, the teacher came over to see what the commotion was about. Because everyone was really having a go at me and being really mean about it. Because all their drawings were shit. And mine was actually pretty good. Well, it must have been. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been bothered by it that much. And the teacher came over and, told us all to shut our fucking mouths. And, get on with it. Or we're going to sit in the naughty corner. But at that point, I was like, wow, I'm that good where people think I'm actually cheating. And there was another moment in school, the early days of school, where we had to draw a shoe for art class. Well, it wasn't really art class. I think the teacher didn't know what to do with us that day, and she probably couldn't be bothered. She was just like, just draw your shoes and leave me alone. I didn't really go to a great school. And I drew my shoe. It was a Nike Air Max, of course, because I was one of the cool kids. And everyone, when I finished it, everyone, gathered around my table and was looking at this awesome shoe that I drew, and they're like, "Wow, that's really good. That's amazing. You've got loads of talent." And that was another point in my early days where I thought, wow, I'm really good at this. And then I was known as the kid that could draw. I used to draw the Biker Mice from Mars and the Ninja Turtles and Rayman and Sonic and all these tales and all these characters for people, you know, throughout school. And that inevitably made me believe that I had a gift, you know, that I was someone special. You know, big ego boost there. And I haven't encountered many people throughout my life that can draw a shit ton better than me. I mean, in real life. Obviously, I've met tons of people on the internet who are fucking way more talented than I am, way more skilled in every sort of way, and are a lot younger as well. But in my immediate circle, you know, throughout my my younger days and my teens, I never met people that could draw, or people that even cared about it. And so that throughout my life, I always thought, you know, hey, you know, I've got some kind of talent, some rare talent. I humbled over, you know, as I got older, I was more humble about it, and now I'm completely, you know, humbled by my ability. I don't think that I am special at all, you know. It was only when you're a kid, and when I was in that situation where I was the only one in the entire bloody school that knew how to draw, it kind of makes you feel like you're some kind of big deal. But anyway, the reason why I told this story is what exactly, and why it, you know, connects with free will, is what exactly made me draw that first drawing really well. Because surely if I didn't draw it well, and I didn't have that kind of reaction and those kind of thoughts that made me want to draw even more, you know, that appraisal that I got from drawing a shoe, if I didn't draw them well, my life would have been totally different, no doubt. So what was it that made me draw it well? Well, it was probably my genes. You know, my mother was a good artist. You know, I probably inherited some sort of ability from her that enabled me to copy things a little easier and see things a little make me see things a better way to be able to translate them into a 2D image. I must have got that from my mother, but I didn't choose to get that from my mother, you know. That wasn't my choice. It wasn't my choice who my parents were, and it wasn't my choice who brought me up. And so you look at it from that point of view and you think, well, how can I have free will? How can I have choice? You know, if everything, it isn't predetermined. Now, there's a difference between predeterminism and determinism. And I'll read out what I got from the internet here. Determinism is the philosophical, I don't know how to say that word properly, philosophical idea that every event or state of affairs, including every human decision and action, is the inevitable and necessary consequence of antecedent state of affairs. Predeterminism is the idea that all events are determined in advance. Predeterminism is the philosophy that all events of history, past, present, and future have been already decided or already known by God, fate, or some other force, including human actions. So the difference. So I'm not talking about predeterminism here. I'm talking about determinism. That it's sort of like a chain reaction, you know, rather than something that's already been written down and that it has to be followed. It's just a chain reaction of, you know, molecules and atoms and everything that all behave and have to behave in predictable patterns. These atoms and everything, they all have patterns. So it makes you wonder, you know, do you have free will? The thoughts you're having and the way you feel and what you think, do you have a choice? Because you have to think about your parents as well, you know, how you grew up, you know, that determines the way you are. And you didn't get to choose your parents, right? You either grew up as an orphan with a mum or a dad, or with both. or with an auntie or an uncle or a grandmother or whatever, you know. And that way, that early period of your life determines how you're going to be when you're older. But you didn't have a choice in this matter. You know, as a kid, you do what your guardian, or whoever's looking after you, you do what they tell you to do. You know? Or you don't. If, you have the genes that enable you to be a complete rebel, you know. But for me, I did what my grandmother told me to do, and that's the one who raised me. Obviously, you can be a little cheeky now and then, and step over the line and see how far you can get with that when you get older, you know. But is that your choice? You know, is that something that you literally chose yourself to do, or is it just something like a computer? You were built to do it. You're programmed to be that way, you know, and there is no changing it. You know, you don't pick where you were born. You know, what culture you were born in, and that also affects how you lived. You know, you don't choose your gender, and you don't choose what you like. Men, women, you know, what you find sexually attractive. You know, men, women, you know, dogs or a pack of biscuits. You know, you can't control that. And that ultimately has an effect on how you live and the decisions that you make. You know, and to an extent, you don't control a lot of the life experiences that you go through. You know, say for example, you decide. You know, I'm saying decide, and we're talking about. I'm acting as if we don't have free will, but yeah, I'm saying you decide. But whatever, you go into town and decide to go out with your friends. Now you have no control over how that night is going to turn out. You know, one of your friends might get into a fight, which could completely change the course of the night. It might go completely boring and miserable. You might realise, wow, these friends are pretty shitty. I'm going to find new ones. You know, you don't know. And you don't know how you don't know the development of your brain. You know, everyone's brain develops differently at different paces, and so on and so forth. And you can't control. Is it the genome? Yeah, I think it's the genome. You have no control of your genome or the development of your brain. And obviously, the brain makes choices on the basis of preferences and beliefs. Based on preferences and beliefs that have been, you know, forced upon you throughout your lifetime. You know, you've got to go to school, you've got to learn this, you've got to get a job, you've got to find a career, you've got to marry, have children. These are all forced into you. And also even your physical, the way you look. You can't decide when you're born how you're going to look. That also affects your life. You know? Whether you're really attractive, whether you look like Quasimodo, you know, all of this. And you have no choice in it. I mean, so you could. I mean, obviously, you can say yes. You are free to do what you want. You know, right now, for example, you could, in fact, run out the street naked and hide in a bush for 24 hours, if you wanted. But you're not going to, are you? If you're not that way inclined, you won't do it. But technically, you could. But obviously you would need something to motivate you to do that. And if you're not the kind of person to do it, you aren't going to do it. But you could. I think the main thing I'm asking is, where did the actual desires come from? Where did they begin? Your genes, your parents, what influenced you as a kid? Because this ultimately decides what choices you're going to make in the future. So when I talked about, me drawing when I was a kid, did I choose to draw? Or is it a product of consequences? Because I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I draw because I want to, or because I feel like, not that I have to, but that I just don't know what else to do. If I had a choice, like an ultimate choice, would I draw? Probably not. I would probably be someone like Indiana fucking Jones or something, or Laura Croft, probably, searching for lost relics and Dead Sea Scrolls and shit like that throughout the world. I can't do that. It's just not in me to do it. I'm far too fucking terrified. Obviously there's other things to consider as well, I might go out on my first journey to, I might decide today, yes, I'm going to be Laura Croft. And I'm going to go to some temple in the midst of nowhere and, I might fucking drown and die my first attempt, But, I don't know. I'm just rambling, as usual. But it's something that I think a lot about, I think about, free will and choice. Do we actually have choice? It's not really a subject you can answer, but it's more so, it's just thought-provoking, it just makes you think, it just makes you think about life, I don't know if anyone else may do this, but you could go outside at night and you could look at, the stars in the sky, and you could think, holy shit, there's billions and billions of other planets out there, galaxies, and, the universe and the multiverse, or whatever they call it right now, is so fucking vast. And I'm sitting here worrying about not being able to draw a head properly. It kind of humbles you and makes you think, shit, man, what the hell am I worrying about? My troubles don't really matter that much on the grand scale of things, and neither does my life. Obviously, you can't think like that, in everyday life, but every now and again, when you do look outside and you think, well, bloody hell, what am I worrying about, man? Why am I worrying about bills? It's just, so with the art thing, did I choose to want to draw? If I didn't draw that Top Cat way back when, would I be drawing now? Would I be sitting here right now? What would I be doing instead? Just makes you think. Like I said before, a few seconds ago, there is no answers to these questions. The whole point in them is you can't get an answer. So the point is for you just for you to think. And I like stuff that makes you think, thought-provoking. Food for thought. And all that rubbish. I could talk about this all bloody day. Maybe. So let's get back on topic. Let's try and try not to let myself meander off. With the I was never growing up, I was never really told that I could be an artist. I was never really told that was an option to do. It's not a job, man. Come on. You need a proper job. You need to be a car mechanic or a shoe salesman. Something that seems to, these kind of bloody jobs, man. I never had the backing of being told that, hey, you're good at art, you should pursue that. Not even at school. Art class for me was rubbish. No one gave a shit about art class. Art class was basically just a free period. A free lesson. No one did anything. We just mucked around. Drawing penises and boobs and being an idiot. Kind of like film studies, It's just a free lesson. And I went to college to do art, and that also was kind of just like a free 2 years, I got all the funding for the course and stuff, and after like 6 months, I knew the course that I was going on, illustration and animation, was just a load of rubbish, but I enjoyed being there because I met loads of cool people and we had a great time, and that is why I continued to go. It wasn't for the course, it was for the people. Because people are important, man. Especially if you realise you're quite a loner. You understand the importance and the significance of people, especially people that you relate to and can talk to about and can open up with, They matter a lot. And ultimately these people influence your life. And these people ultimately lived relatively the same kind of life you did, albeit some changes now and then, like who they grew up with. And did they have a choice? And it just all seems like just this chain reaction that's just gone off and is just going. And and we have no say in the matter. We have no control over it. There's a cool philosopher called Alan Watts, who talks. He's a Buddhist, and he talks. I'm not a Buddhist, but he is, and I don't necessarily believe in reincarnation. But you never know. And he says that the less control you try to have in your life, the more control you actually have. Or the more you realise you don't need to take control of your life, and you can just, let go and just go with the flow and be free. Free from all the trivial worries of paying bills and worrying about, all this shit that people do worry about, that does bog them down, like clothes and how other people think of them and all this rubbish that just, I think with age does diminish. I'm hoping it does anyway. You see most old people, they don't really give a shit about what people think of them, do they? They're too tired for that crap, man. So, it's what I wanted to talk about today. Not a bad little set of sketches that I did. Started drawing my hand, which is a cool thing to draw by. If you don't know what to draw, just put your hand in a weird place and draw it. It's always a cool thing to do. Thanks for watching, and I hope you took something from this and it helped you in any sort of way. More to come. Farewell.